All right, Shenee Johnson, thanks so much for taking the time to join me on Life Before the Virus.
Thank you for having me.
And today is National Gun Violence Awareness Day, and we're both in our orange shirts.
Yes.
And you're very involved as a community advocate with Moms Demand Action. And I know that gun violence has affected you in a very deep and personal way. And I'd love for you to share with us that story and what today really means for you.
Okay. Well, I wear orange for my 17-year-old son, Kedrick Jr. This is actually his junior high school picture when he was graduating from junior high school. But Kedrick was killed a few weeks before his high school graduation. And, as you can imagine, preparing for a graduation party, ultimately us having a funeral. So it was the hardest, unimaginable thing that can ever happen to a parent, you know. So as I was getting excited to watch Kedrick walk across the aisle at his graduation ceremony, I ended up speaking at his graduation ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
In
since
his absence.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then since then, you've really taken this on as a full-time, you're an advocate for gun violence prevention, and you're on Long Island. And I know that these recent protests that you've seen, they remind us of racial justice issues, and gun violence is a racial justice issue. So how are you doing?
Well, it's been an interesting and difficult few months. Kedrick's anniversary was May 15th. So over the years, I've always kept myself physically active, because I push through my pain. And if I'm helping another mother that's experienced gun violence, or an organization that's doing an event, that tends to kind of help you find purpose in it. But this year, sitting at home during the pandemic, it was the most difficult thing I ever had to do. So I had to start journaling again because I was, really grieving and just sitting still, and I started reading books and supporting other survivor advocates who have written books about, their loss. And so I started ordering their books and just reading to kind of keep myself, from falling into a dark place, because activism is my passion and that's how I push through my pain. So it was tough. Sky, I'm going to be honest with you. It was really tough sitting in the grief, sitting during the pandemic, and then now everything that's happening across the world.
But are you still out there speaking now?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'm going to always do that as long as I have a voice. Use your voice, as you can see, my shirt says, use your voice, but I'm going to always use my voice. I'm Kedrick's voice.
So what's been happening recently on Long Island at these different events that you've attended? What have you seen?
I've seen young people rise up. I've never in my entire life, especially living in Suffolk County, I've never seen, I never witnessed such an outcry of young people saying that they had enough. Not only young people, everyone, saying that they had enough of racial injustice, racial inequalities, and they've had enough. And I've been seeing that throughout Long Island. I have, yeah. So I went to this protest in Mineola, and I was, first of all, I was so shocked to see that there were, I want to say, almost 2,000 people, and majority of them young people. And I was impressed by how eloquent they were getting their message out, and how vocal they were, and also how hurt they were, and they spoke and they chanted so loud, and the crowd was really energized. But one gentleman asked everyone to take a knee, referencing Colin Kaepernick, and, in solidarity for George Floyd and all the victims of police brutality. But then all the police officers did not. And so when he looked over to the right of him, he said, "Come on, guys, take a knee, take a knee." So the commissioner did. I don't know if it was almost forced or, not forced in a sense like someone made him, but compelled to do it. But the rest of the officers did not. And the crowd went crazy. And you can kind of feel the tension build because they refused to take a knee. So ultimately, what ended up happening is part of the crowd broke off. And I
Mhm.
mean by broke off, split. And those protesters decided to literally take to the streets and march because that that fueled their anger.
Mhm.
It was like, you know what? We're out of here. We're gonna, you know, continue to fight for justice because as you can see, they don't care. So temperatures were rising a little, from that situation. However, the people that stayed and the organizer, she was able to bring it back, you
Mhm.
know, to bring it back to George Floyd and while we're there, and to bring it back to no, we need to stand together and work together to make change possible, you know, and not to give up. And although we're going to have those people, but no, it's more of us that are fighting for change versus those who are against.
But it is challenging to see officers that don't take a knee when the crowd is asking for that as a motion of solidarity.
Right. That was hurtful to watch and I can see it in their eyes that, it was like, wow. But I mean, they're also a part of this systemic racism. So, it was obvious, you know, how they felt anyway. They're the reason, some of them are the reason why we are protesting across the world. So, it's kind of hard to go to the same system that's oppressing you, you know, and to ask them to help fix the problem when they are the problem or part of the problem.
What do you think is the solution, or how can we work towards a solution for this?
Conviction. Not only do we need arrest, but we need conviction. They need to, when a normal civilian person commits a crime, especially murder, they go to jail. They get arrested, they get convicted, and they serve their time. And so that's what we want. Justice, real
Mhm.
justice,
Mhm.
not just something to pacify everyone.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And what are some of the actions that you would advise other people to take during a time like this?
Well, your voice is always important. The peaceful protests are so important. I attended one in Mineola, and I listened to the young people speak, and I've also spoke that day, and get involved, really get involved. I was on a call yesterday, and I listened to a mayor from Mississippi, and he said, let's hold hands versus lending hands, right? Charity versus solidarity, So in other words, like, if you're going to really be with us, really be with us. There's also some laws and bills that are pending on the table for racial inequality, different bills that need to be supported, so get involved, talk to the people in your family. If it's time to have those uncomfortable conversations with our relatives, because so many people have hidden biases, you know, and get involved in your local community. I always feel like that's the best place to start is within your community first.
And now it may be a more difficult time, like you've said, because we're all at home. So it may be more difficult to get involved if someone doesn't want to. It maybe if you're in the suburbs, like here in the city, I see the protests all the time. They're all over the streets, but maybe in the suburbs, it's harder to find, or maybe people are more intimidated to join a protest.
Well, well, there's not only protesting. I mean, we have elections coming up, and they're doing a lot of their things virtually. So you can research the organizations who are involved in those types of actions. The NAACP is on Long Island. We have pretty much what we have in the city. A lot of the those organizations have sister organizations on Long Island. And I've been getting emails for virtual this and virtual Democratic nominees, and pay attention. Pay attention to who's in your local community. It can be done. We've been doing it virtually as well. So if you don't want to go out to put yourself at risk, there's plenty of groups on Facebook. Every action that's towards change is positive, whether big or small. I always tell people that. Some people feel that activism has to be so grandeur. You can donate. Where there's you can use your monetary actions. Research the organizations, make sure that the funding is going where it's going to. Just like this weekend with Wear Orange, Moms Demand Action and Everytown are donating to organizations that are on the ground in the Black and Brown community to help elevate their work, by giving resources and so they can expand their work in their community. So there's plenty of ways that you can help.
So what will you be doing this weekend as part of the National Gun Violence Awareness Weekend?
Well, I was invited to a peaceful protest in Long Island today. So just by me even showing up in my orange, and I even see it don't have to always be rah-rah. So like yesterday when I attended a little peaceful gathering, I was able to talk to young Black youth up close and personal. I was able to tell them that I love them and how I value their life, and how me as an adult, I'll stand in the back. But, me and other adults, the things that they may be too young to do or just don't know how or have to know how, we'll help you organize, and we'll help you plan, and we'll help you strategize. And whatever issues and complaints that you have, we can help amplify your voices and take them to the people who can actually make them happen.
Have you found that your network has grown during the last couple of days or during the pandemic, with more people reaching out and searching for a cause?
Yeah, virtually, because people are at home on their computer, and they want to do something. A lot of our volunteers were delivering food and water and helping out people who were at home and couldn't get out, and distributing masks and just doing some wonderful things.
And I know Wear Orange is a gun violence awareness campaign. And
Yes.
what is the message? Why orange?
So Wear Orange started with this young lady named Hadia Pendleton, who actually attended President Obama inaugural event, and she was there. Shortly after she was killed, after she attended the event, and her friends decided to make the color orange because the symbol for gun violence prevention, because they feel that hunters wear orange when they hunt their prey. And so they decided to make this color the color for gun violence prevention. So it's the same as you have pink for cancer, purple for domestic violence, orange is the national color for gun violence prevention.
Is there a color for racial justice?
That's a good question. Yeah.
Maybe that's the next movement.
Maybe.
Thank you, Shenee, for staying strong and for being there as an advocate for all mothers and all people who want change and want justice and want to be heard. And I know I appreciate you, and so many people appreciate you.
Thank you. The last thing I want to say, because we often intersect like the mothers of police brutality and mothers of gun violence. And I remember talking to a mother whose son was killed by police. And she said to me, she said, your pain is just like my pain, regardless of who was behind the trigger. And that always stuck with me. So, we have to stop dividing, and really come together, work together, and stay together.
That's a great message. Thank you.
Thank you, Sky.